YouTube! So, after my 5-minute video, sorry it was late last night, and before I went to the studio, I was like standing there and you get that bit when you're just before you leave the door and you're like, that there's something. I've got my wallet, got the phones, I've got the pedal, got the bass. Something I forgot to do was put the video live, so that's why it went out late. Yeah, so this I don't think this will be a very short one. I'm going to have a bit of a jam. This is my pal Craig's Revelation RJT60TL, which is rather interesting. I set this up, must have been a few years ago when I first got it. There's so much going on here. It was actually back at a slightly wobbly output jack, but it was having problems with he said there was something wrong with the earth. And I think, see, just because there's that much circuitry going, it's got like a rotary switch here, which I'll talk about, and, you know, humbuckers and P90 shapes and a push-pull pot, and it's got a dummy coil in it, which is just kind of bizarre. It's probably, yeah, it's Allen Entwistle pickups in this, so it's some sort of fancy thing. But it was just about, like, see, it was earthed fine, right? So as soon as you put your hands on the strings, there was no buzz, but when you didn't, it was kind of, you know when you put the guitars on. Can't hear it. Hold on, I'll put tons of distortion on. Okay, I'll put 2 distortions. Okay, yeah, so it's not doing it anymore. Basically, what I did was I just lined it with, as a bonus feature, there will be no slug problems with this guitar, because I used, the copper slug tape. To shield, so I basically shielded around the pickup, shielded the bottom of the scratch plate, connected it all up, so it's like a Faraday cage in there now, which has solved the problem. It's a wee bit. I checked some of my guitars to see what it was like, and it was maybe 20% worse than that Strat. That was the only the other guitar I tried, but it's just like there is always a slight picking up of interference, you know, when it's on, and just when you touch it, just a wee bit. Actually, I noticed it was actually much worse when you turn the volume down. A wee bit. Much less than it was, though. Yeah, so what this does. Right, this, as far as I can gather, it looks like a Veritone. 3-way pickup selector. It's got pickups similar to the ones that are in my Yamaha RGX, which are DiMarzio / Yamaha. Basically, it's a humbucker, a P90 sized humbucker, as opposed to being a humbucker sized P90. Yeah. There's a coil split under here, which I didn't know about when I did it the first time. Thinking the only thing missing was a coil split. Obviously, that means I never had it to bits. I definitely didn't have it to bits before because I didn't realise there was a dummy coil in here. So whatever this is doing, one of the things puts a dummy coil in, which gives you hum cancelling when you're using a single coil. It does just sound like a Veritone though, where basically it's just like adding a thicker tone cap in. And fully forwards is the Veritone bypass basically. So we've got bridge pickup. Just using the orange TH30 as usual. That's maybe why the reverb keeps changing. I just touched there's a big knob on it. Now, what are the chances that... Obviously, a little bit of volume play is involved when you're doing when you're using a Veritone, because everything that same as your tone control, because it's not active, you can't boost anything. You can only take away So what it's doing is it's taking away frequencies from the original one. So obviously if you don't take away any frequencies, you get the pickup on its own. Even the coil split will make it quieter because you're taking away one coil. Quite a good coil split, right? Probably use one of these sounds as it's a dual coil split, splits both the pickups at the same time. For jazz, man! Alright. Next single coil, got the L. Campbell tube screamer on just now. Full bucker. I suppose you could probably actually talk a little bit more about the guitar rather than just going straight on for just playing it. So, as I said, when I say it's got everything on it, it's like it's kind of the anti-Telecaster or the anti-Shockingbird or the anti-P bass. So we've got, it's semi-hollow. It's thin line, and it's like kind of proper thin line up to here as well. It's not just like a Telecaster actual thin line. The actual bit that's hollow is only about half an inch wider than where the F hole is. So it's like, whereas this is a bit more, I think that this is kind of more hollow. The whole side strip is hollow. Yeah, and it's got like a bound maple fingerboard, a glossy neck. It's actually a really, really nice neck on it. Got a sort of strange German carve thing on top of the headstock. I'm not sure the headstock's my favourite ever. I've seen one, actually I was thinking of doing it with the Telecaster I've got through next door, because it's got a Strat headstock. There's one you can get, see how that's kind of like, it's carved like that. I've seen a guitar that's half Tele and half Strat. I think it might be a Fender, and it's got like a, so if you imagine, see the big bit, as in this bit at the bottom, imagine that Strat shaped, and then on top of it, it's got a Telecaster shape carved into it. I quite fancy doing that. Some fancy routing that would take ages and not be worth it, but I quite fancy doing it. Mother of Pearl, or yeah, I think they are. I don't know. Maybe it's just plastic, but it's quite shiny. You don't really see it because, you know, obviously a maple fingerboard with that on it, they don't stick out the same way they do on a rosewood or an ebony fingerboard. Kind of expected them to be black on this guitar, and it's green sunburst. You just don't get very many green guitars. It's got a tortoiseshell backplate. There you go. No serial numbers on it. Oh, there is a serial number. By Alan Entwistle, and the serial number is on a gold sticker. It's on a see-through sticker with C23. Yeah, so it's a 2023 guitar this year, even though it was about 5 or 6 years ago that I had it in. So 2002 maybe, if the serial number means anything. I wish everyone would just agree that basically at the start of your serial number, it should just have the date and then your serial number. So you just put, like, ideally, it can't cost that much more to put more numbers in. So you buy a guitar and it says 1995, and then it's got all your batch codes and stuff like that. Or, you know, it's like, just do that. Everybody, it should just be an international known thing where you just, like, it should just say on the back of it first two numbers, even if it's like, quite a lot of them are, you know, it's like a lot of the ones I've got, the Aria Pros and stuff like that, they do say they start with an 83. No, they just start with a 3 for 83, but you've got to notice the 80s. Why doesn't it just start with 1983? Bang! Move on. Nothing to rant. And I didn't put these strings on, I put them back on. This has been, these are the Clausen type tuners that you can poke the head of the string into the centre of the tuner, so you don't get jaggy bits. Not my guitar, so I don't see it. It's also got it's got a first fret marker on the end there, because it's got a first one there. Because I noticed that the other night with the Raven. You can't see, but it's got a first fret marker, but most other guitars don't. Oh, going by the ones on the wall. None of the other ones do. That's cool. I was kind of expecting to turn around and go, none of them have got a first fret marker, and expecting half of them to have that. They don't, so that's cool. It says by Alan Entwistle on big writing on the back as well. So I mean, he's the guy that he was something to do with the Badger guitar as well. The Badger was kind of not actually an entirely superly very different vibe to this, but very interesting. I suppose kind of, I think, to be honest, these kind of price in. They're not expensive. I think they're kind of the same as your Squire Classic vibey type thing. They do like a Jazzmaster or something like that. This, I suppose, is in that category, the Jazzmaster and the Jaguar, because it just going by look, you know, the Offset series, but it doesn't feel, it's not huge. I think it's got a much smaller body than a Jazzmaster does, and it's, again, I'll check, but I'm pretty sure it's 25.5 inch scale. Or I've not really thought about it until right now. Yes, it's a 25.5 inch scale. Balance as well. Tend to put a wee bit of bass down and then I'll have a wee jam to end it. 12 minutes in, that's more like one of my videos. None of this 5 minutes pandering to the YouTube algorithm rubbish. It's like, I'll put it out for 5 minutes and leave it. Just gonna assume that's in tune. I was playing this last night in the Sabbath band. Going to play a gig with it on Saturday. We're playing an outdoor thing, and it looks like it's going to be raining. So, although I was telling Craig the guitarist, I want to play it at the gig, and he's like, yeah, okay. He knows it's a £10 encore, but it sounded really good. I really like it. He's saying, he prefers me when I use the long scale. There's more bottom end. I don't agree with that. I think there's more bottom end in these. There's less low mids. There's less mids in total. You get like a big boomy upright bass sound with these. See, look, it's looking like it's proper colour now with this type of light. So, what time is it? 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Slightly overcast, little bits of blue sky showing. That's when this turns up bright. What was I playing? Not really decided what I'm doing yet. I've very much got a wrong note in there. There's a note there I'm not getting. actually an excuse to actually do a video on the wee red bass, seeing as I've upgraded everything on it. I've not done a video on that yet, so that'll be later in the week. And what do I do with the pick? It's there. Flat. Bucker! Bridge humbucker. These are 10s and they hurt. See what's missing? It's okay, it's just the bar that's missing. No, I saw 2 tremolo bars earlier on, not from this guitar. It's set hard-tailed anyway. they're not all on a Veritone. Not all the things are. When I say it's just different tone caps, I do mean it's different caps, but sometimes you run through them, and if you run through them and they're the right value, they take away the treble rather than taking away the bass, or it might be both, sort of tone altering. So you probably find that the first one is a tone similar to the. With that amount of distortion, you can't really hear it. Turn that off. Turn that off. Didn't do enough a lot, does it? That tone control. Okay, it does. Bear with me 2 seconds. Obviously I had the strings off this. I just tightened them up so we're not in tune. And haven't been for the last bit. You noticed I was using excessive vibrato and bends. The bends were probably the reason it went out of tune anyway, but if in doubt, bend it and wobble it so it doesn't sound as off. It's a really, really, really bad habit, but one we all do. So there's your tone control, fully on. So this is a similar sort of thing. She's taking away different, it's a different frequency it takes away though. Right, and then this will take you. Then this one, a wee bit different again. See, that's leaving the really high end and kind of sucking out other stuff, and that's leaving all the high end. It's bizarre, isn't it? Sometimes you're better not knowing actually how these things work and just go, oh, it's. Well, I suppose you can count off as a sound. We will. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 5. It's a 5 sounds. One of them being not using the Veritone bypass. Whoa, 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 whoa! For some reason this guitar is making me want to have a tremolo. It does have one. It's just not set up. I'll set it up for you, Craig, if you want. I now know how to set these up. You set them floating. That's the trick. If you just have it as a down bend only, which is the way it is if you're using it as a hardtail, great, it'll never go out of tune. But if you try and put the whammy bar in there, which I used to do before I learnt how it wasn't right, if it's hard against the body and you put the whammy bar in, I used to just think, oh, just have it hard, and if I ever need a wibble, I can just push it really hard, but they don't return to pitch. To return to pitch, it has to be floating. That's from experience, not from looking up on the internet and seeing what other people think. It's like that's what I've found out. If I did find something like that on the internet and it wasn't checked, I would say allegedly, or the internet says that. So I don't even know if they still make Reverend guitars. A Reverend? No, it's a Revelation. That's another thing that always gets me confused. Because Reverends, when I say they don't look like these, kind of a similar sort of vibe, as in you're not buying a heavy metal guitar, they're not pointy, and they're not like a Strat or a Telly or a Gibson. They're sort of in the whatever that category is, the sort of weird looking, the Jazz Mastery Voxy, in that range. But actually a little bit like the Badger, this, you're not really compromised in the playing of this. This kind of just plays like a normal guitar, like a good one. Kind of like it feels like a Strat or something maybe. It doesn't feel pure alien and different. I reckon it does do Judas Priest. It was completely wasted, and I'm working it down. Yeah, it does Judas Priest, so I mean. That's a different tone control than normal. I think that's what's throwing me a bit. Fuzz? But I bet you it likes fuzz. It kind of looks like it'll like fuzz. See? See? It Veritone might like fuzz as well. So many options. Yes, I am going to appreciate that that wee cheapy Delamo fuzz. I can't get enough of it. It's brilliant. I'm so glad I left it on the board. It might still be. I've got a Fuzz Thursday coming up that I did for last week, but then put up another video instead for some reason. A wiring one. Never watched that, so I thought, fuck it. But I found is it a better fuzz pedal? Yes. Sounds better. Does more things. Can do that. Can do what the wee Delamo does. Sneak peek. That one is amazing. It really is. That one. Don't like that one at all. Well, of course, I like that one as well. I like the Boss one was good. But that wee Delamo thing does that sound. Doesn't do anything else. Does that, and I like that sound. That one there does that, but it's much more variable and thingy. It cost, how much did I work out how much it cost? It was 12 times the price. So that's how I'm sitting there going up here. Well, is it the best fuzz pedal if it costs 12 times more than that one? If you only had one and someone was to give it to you, yeah, totally. But if you have to pay for it 12 times as much, you know, it's like, that's where it comes in difficult to try and justify a lot of guitars when you're paying, you know, well, you're not going to get a £100 guitar that's pure amazing new, really, not now. Not, you know, possibly if it's damaged or something, you're not going to get a pure amazing guitar for 100 quid. You could probably get a pretty amazing guitar for 200 quid, right? So 200 quid gets you, you're into, I mean, I think you can get a Squire Bullet Mustang, and then get me to set it up, and there's your 200 quid, and you'll end up with a guitar. And then if you took 12 times as much as that, 200 times 12 is 4.5 grand, isn't it? No, 200 times 10 is 2 grand, 2,800 quid or something like that. It's not going to be as good as your Fender custom shop, but it's going to be way more than half as good for a 12th of the price. So try and put these things into perspective. It's a difficult thing. I mean, I think you see, it must be difficult for, let's see, like Lee Anderton and stuff like that, because he knows how much they're worth and stuff like that. But it's when you see them and you go like up here, oh, that's really good value for money. It's like, it's really good. How much are these? And it's like, it's only £900. That's really good. It's like they're comparing that to, they can play any guitar. Okay, I do get. I mean, I pretty much do think that if you spend £2.5 grand on a guitar, or £1 grand on a guitar, the £2.5 grand one will be better, but it's not going to be twice as good. Even I'm sure even they admit it's going to be maybe 5% better or something. This guitar's a good one though. I mean, it's one of these. Give this to Jimi Hendrix or John Fogerty or something like that. It'll sound a shitload better than me using the most expensive guitar in the world. Tone is all on the fingers, nearly all on the fingers, but it's got plenty of options on it, which I like. I mean, Craig uses this as, I think he bought it as a sort of recording guitar, does quite a lot of home recording, and it's like, yeah, or even just using the loop pedal if you didn't have 20 guitars hanging on the wall. You know, I made the mistake there of using one of the loud sounds as the backing thing. What I should have been using was one of the sort of muffledy ones. One of these. So when I played a solo over the top of it was louder. A much better way of doing it. So I mean, ultimately, I think this might be the only Revelation I've ever played, but I've played it a few times. But it is a really nice guitar. I don't know if it, styling wise, I don't know if it's me. You know what I mean? It definitely doesn't look metal. Not that all my guitars look metal. The ones you can see kind of do. Like a Strat metal, sort of. Iron Maiden, metal. Yeah, they used a Strat. They're not going to use one of these. I suppose that you could look at it. Can you imagine Iron Maiden or Judas Priest playing them? And it's like, pretty much a Strat. Yes, you can play that. The Thor sound, I would argue, kind of is. It's got P90s in it, so maybe not. I don't know. Anyhow, there you go. Half an hour make up for my 5 minutes. So all the YouTube algorithm I gained yesterday from doing a 5-minute video is out the windy. That windy. Rock on. Catch you tomorrow.